All right, we're diving into the heart of Guanajuato, Mexico, to a spot you have absolutely seen all over your social media feed, the Callejón del Beso, the Alley of the Kiss. But look, this isn't just about showing up and snapping a picture. This is about mastering the visit. And trust me, you're going to need a game plan. You know the photo I'm talking about, right? Those two super colorful balconies so close they practically touch, with a couple stealing a kiss on that famous third step. It's the shot. It's probably why Guanajuato is even on your list. But getting that photo, it's not always as dreamy as it looks online. Because this is the other side of the story. Yeah, at peak times, you could literally be standing in a line like this for the better part of an hour. All for what? A few seconds in that one perfect spot. Suddenly, that whole romantic vibe you were going for feels more like, waiting at the DMV. So, how do you get the picture-perfect moment without the nightmarish wait? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, and it all boils down to one crucial thing: timing. So let's get into exactly how to nail it. Okay, check this out, because the crowds here are so predictable, it's almost funny. See that massive spike right in the middle of the day? That's when everyone shows up after a late breakfast. But look at those sweet spots on either side. That right there is your golden window of opportunity. So, the single most important piece of advice is this. If you want to just stroll right up and get your shot, you've got to go before 9 in the morning or after 5 in the evening. And hey, if you can make it happen on a weekday, even better. Tuesday and Wednesday mornings are like the absolute ghost town jackpot. And we can zoom out even more, because the time of year you go makes a huge difference. Summer is your best bet for low crowds and cheap hotels, but you'll probably get some afternoon rain. Winter's gorgeous, but it's packed. And just a quick heads up, October is the Cervantino Festival, and that high crowd level, that's putting it mildly. Prices can seriously triple, so you really got to plan for that. And this just lays it all out, doesn't it? This is the choice you're making. You can have a quiet, peaceful morning with amazing light and no wait, or you can have a 45-minute plus wait, shoulder to shoulder with strangers with all the noise of the carnival-like street performers. The experience is, it's night and day. All right, so you've picked the perfect time. Awesome. Now, how do you actually find this tiny little alley? And when I say tiny, I mean it's only 68 centimeters wide in some spots. Let's talk about the nitty-gritty of getting there. Honestly, getting there on foot is a piece of cake. If you start from a big landmark, say the Mercado Hidalgo, it's a nice little 12-minute walk. And these directions will take you through some really cool streets where you get to see a bit of authentic Guanajuato life before you even hit the main tourist drag. Okay, here is a pro tip that you will thank me for later. Guanajuato's historic center is this beautiful, chaotic maze of winding streets, and your map app is going to get seriously confused. So instead of typing in an address, just plug these exact GPS coordinates straight into your phone. It'll get you way, way closer, and then you can just follow the crowds for the last little bit. So you know when to go and how to get there. But just as important is knowing what not to do. Trust me, avoiding these 3 super common mistakes will completely transform your visit. The number one biggest mistake, thinking you need to block out a huge chunk of your day for this. It's so easy to see how famous the alley is and think, okay, I'll need a whole morning. But the truth is, the alley itself is incredibly small. It's a 15-minute photo op. Tops. It is not a half-day excursion. And if you don't plan it right, this is where your time actually goes. Look at that. The vast majority is just waiting. And then maybe grabbing an overpriced coffee nearby to kill more time. If you plan smart, you can completely flip this around and spend that time actually, exploring the city. Yeah, we've kind of hammered this point, but it's mistake number 2 because it's the one almost everyone makes. You roll up at 11 a.m. on a Saturday, and this is what you get. You're basically just watching 30 other couples take their turn while you're baking in the sun. That whole romantic vibe you were hoping for, poof, gone. It evaporates so fast. And mistake number 3, paying for balcony access without really thinking about it. You'll see vendors there charging about 50 pesos to go up, but what are you really getting? For that same 50 pesos, you could get 3, maybe 4, incredible tacos al pastor from a spot just a few minutes away. Seriously, unless you're dead set on that one angle, the view from the street is just as good and it's free. So with all this talk about crowds and strategy, it's probably worth asking the big question. What kind of an experience is this, really? And is it actually for you? Because this isn't just an alley. It's a fascinating look at how modern social media tourism works. Let's put it all in perspective. It's kind of crazy to think that just a few decades back, this was just another narrow walkway. But then Guanajuato got its UNESCO status, and then around 2010, Instagram hit, and this one spot became a global sensation. The city basically leaned into the romantic story over the pure history, and wow, did it work. It created the perfect attraction for the social media age. And what this all creates is something you could call manufactured romance. It's an experience that feels a little scripted. You've got vendors selling those little love locks and photographers telling people exactly how to pose. It's a very efficient, very processed kind of tourism, a lot like other famous photo spots you see around the world. So, knowing all that, this might not be your favorite thing if you're someone who really dislikes that commercialized feel. Some solo travelers say it can feel a little awkward just because the whole vibe is so couples-focused. And of course, if you truly hate crowds and your only option is to go at noon on a Saturday, you might want to give it a pass. So if you remember one thing from all this, let it be this right here. The best way to think about the alley is as your introduction to Guanajuato, not the main event. It's chapter 1. It teaches you about the city's incredible narrow streets and its deep love for a good romantic story. Because once you've seen it, you've gotten our photo, and you've moved on, that's when the real adventure in Guanajuato begins. So the real question isn't how to see the alley, but what are you going to do with the rest of your day in one of Mexico's most stunning cities now that you've totally mastered the first 15 minutes?